Okay, 8th graders. We're going to go through a review lesson on linear inequalities. Okay? In other words, graphs of inequalities. You've used, you've graphed them on number lines before. For example, x is less than 1. We mark 1 with an open dot because the answer can't be 1 to make the statement true. It has to be less than 1, so we use an open dot. And then shade to the left. Alright? If you were graphing this on a coordinate plane, this is what the graph would look like, right? If x equals a number, then x is always that number. That's a vertical line. And instead of an open dot, we would use a dashed line, right? So, instead of open dot, we always use a dashed line for less than or greater than. You would use a solid line if it is greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. You with me so far?
Yeah.
Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Alright, so this is what we're talking about. We're talking about graphing inequalities. And if you have an equation, yes, these are the steps. If you have an equation so that, oh, let's say, here's an example. There we go. 3x minus 5y is less than or equal to 10. Now, in order to graph this, you may want to put this into y equals mx plus b form, right? To solve this for y. Doesn't that make sense? So that's the first step, solve for y. If we were solving this, add negative 3x to both sides. So negative 5y is less than or equal to negative 3x plus 10. Right? Sam, you with me? Then you divide by negative 5. Divide everything on this side by negative 5. Simplify y. And
you have to
switch
the
the sign, right. Whenever you multiply or divide by a negative number to solve the equation, you have to reverse the sign. Negative 3 over negative 5 is positive, so we make that positive 3/5 x. And 10 over negative 5.
Plus mark. Plus negative 2.
Negative 2, yep.
Gorgeous.
So now we have y equals mx plus b form, right?
Yeah.
Now, graph the slope and the y-intercept. So actually start with the y-intercept. We would graph negative 2, and then go up 3 and over 5. Then we would draw a line, and then we make the line specific to what kind of symbol we have. Since this is a greater than or equal to sign, we would use a solid line to graph it. Now, this is the part that was the most new. We have to shade at the end to decide which side or which region of the graph is actually part of the answer, right? So what you'll do is, step 4, put a point from one side of your line, insert the numbers from that point that you choose into the equation. In other words, when you pick a point, like let's say you pick 0, 0, point 0, 0, the origin. Since this line wouldn't go through 0, 0, would it? It would be down 2 and then up 3 and over 5. We could use 0, 0 and use 0 for x and 0 for y. Put those into the equation.
How do you pick a point?
You pick the easiest point possible. Since 0, 0 is the easiest numbers to work with, use 0, 0 whenever possible. 0 for x, 0 for y.
So how do you know which numbers to pick?
You'll always want to pick a point that's on one side of the graph, either the left side or the right side, or the top side or the bottom side, depending on the line. When I do an example, it'll make sense. Okay? Then, once we insert the point, we check to see if it makes the statement true. If it is true, then you're going to shade that side of the plane, of the coordinate plane, of the graph. You're going to shade that side toward that point. If it makes it false, you shade away from that point that you chose. Okay? Let's do some examples.
Yay.
Let's start with graphing this example. Since we're this far, let's graph this example. Okay?
You can switch it.
I can switch it now? All right. So, what was the equation that we solved for? It was y. Who wrote it down?
Y equals 3/5 x.
Y
Or
is.
greater than or equal to.
Let's check it out. Y is greater than or equal to. Yep. 3/5 x plus -2, right? That was what we solved for? And you know how to graph that, right? So first number your graphs. 3, 5, -5, -5, and right? Now what?
So you graph -2.
Graph -2,
You go up 3
up 3
over 5.
over 5.
And
Connect the,
dots.
oops, we're going to use a
Solid line.
solid line, right? Why did we use a solid line, Hayden?
Because it was a greater than or equal to.
Good. Yep. So everybody understand this much? Okay. Now, you want to pick a point that's on one side of this line. Now, the easiest point to work with is 0, 0, and it's on the top left side of the line. If it's on the line, if our line went through 0, 0, then we couldn't pick that. Okay? Especially if it's a dashed line, then you definitely can't pick it. Okay? So pick a point that's on a side of the line. We're going to pick 0, 0, and we're going to put those numbers, 0, 0, into the equation. So 0 for y is greater than or equal to 3/5 times 0
Plus
plus -2.
wrong.
Come on.
Like you have to move the. That'll be nothing.
It's -2, okay? So that means -2, when we simplify this, we get -2 and 0, right? Is 0 greater than or equal to -2? Is that true? Yes, it is. If it is true, then we shade that direction. So you'll take your pencil and shade that side of the line. Okay?
How is this gonna help us when we're older? I don't understand.
You said
Well,
my me.
Well, it's not.
I could.
2 seconds and then I look up.
If you look at numbers 23, 24, 37, 44, 45, 48, 49, those are all application problems in this lesson. Okay, so those are all questions that have to do with real world situations that deal with this concept. Okay? It gives you some examples of where it's used in the real world. Now, any questions on this process then?
Okay,
Should we let's do one more
the
together.
one that's higher than the one like A, B, C, D.
Let's do one from your assignment for
P
today.
is X.
So,
Then what you use
Just
How about-
this means this is X and Q is Y. So you just use and you just do X.
number
shows
19.
everything else.
Yeah, you just do them in wrong problem.
Let's do number number 20.
Just
together.
think of those as X and Y.
So then why would it?
Number 20.
Confuse you.
You ready? Let's do number 20. What's the equation given? Brady?
5x minus 3y is less than or equal to 6. I was on time.
Sure you
Now what? Crosby?
You
What should we do?
get x on the other side, so you subtract 5x from both sides.
Good.
And
Okay.
then you divide everything by -3.
First we gotta rewrite it. And divide everything by -3. And
So then y is like less than or equal to
no, it's negative, so we have to
y.
what?
Y is greater than or equal to 5/3 x plus -2.
Good.
And you go down
It's pretty much the
to
same problem we just had.
Almost.
Almost.
Except our slope is different.
and then you go up 5.
2, 4,
And then
5.
you go over 3.
Okay? Solid line or dashed line?
Solid line.
Solid line. Now what should we do to Will?
Okay, now you have to check where the shade.
Right.
So
You could put it
0, 0.
We can use 0, 0 because it's on the top left side of the line, right? So now what?
Okay, so then you'd put like y equals 0 and then x equals 0.
Wait, I have a question. If the line was like up over, so like move it over, could we use 0, 0 still? If the line was like over?
So if
If
it
the
was
line- if it
through,
was-
if it went through 0, 0,
No, but like up more.
up more?
So like, no, like,
I don't even
Yeah.
understand which one's zero.
Ah, so it went above 0?
yeah.
So if the line was
Okay, so it's B.
here, could
Yeah.
you use 0, 0? Yes, because then you would still be on a side of the
Okay,
line.
so then you just have to pick it at some point if it was just through 0, 0. you
Correct.
have to-
Then you might have to use 2, 0 or
1, 2.
0, 0, 5 or 0, 10 or whatever.
Does it have to have a 0 in it?
Zeros are easy to work with, so that's why it's nice to work with a point that has a 0 in it, because they're easy to multiply. Any fraction times 0 is 0. So that's nice to be able to just zero out the fraction. Okay? So if we're using 0, 0 in this one, 5/3 times 0 is 0. So when we simplify this, it is 0 is negative.
Same answer.
Same answer, yep. And let's get rid of that line so we're not confused. So which way should we shade?
That
Top.
The
the top
Is this
left.
true?
Top
yes.
left.
This is true.
Left.
Yeah.
If this makes it true, then we make sure we shade that point. Shade that way. Okay?
Huh.
So here's another one.
Dun, dun.
There's number 20.
Nice. sniff a conspiracy.
Yep. And that's
Just
tomorrow.
I smell.
Okay, so your assignment 4 to 20 evens.
Oh, there's so much stuff for me to do. Just overwhelming.
420.